This is AJ Javeri from HeadshotCafe.com. Today we have Sam Messman with us. Sam started an organization or a group, he'll explain it to us, called We Make Movies. Sam, great to have you here. Thank you for coming in.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Let's start. What brought you to town? Where are you from? How do you get to LA? And then we'll get to how you got into the We Make Movies group.
Well, I've been in LA for, I guess, it's like 3.5 or 4 years now, give or take.
Where from?
From Jersey originally.
Okay.
I grew up in Jersey, West Orange, New Jersey. It's next to a strip mall. And I was out there, I grew up there, then I went to school in New York and spent about 10 years in New York doing the film thing.
Studying film in New York.
Yeah, I went to school out there and then worked as an editor and directed a documentary and a couple other things out there. And I told myself I'd never come to LA unless I had a reason, and then I finally had a reason because we were shooting our independent feature. A couple friends of ours that because we had a collective back in New York, and we finally were able to raise some money. He got a grant, and we were able to raise some money off that, and we decided, well, let's go make a feature.
So you came to Hollywood.
So we shot in New York and St. Louis, but then we had to edit the film, and I was an editor on the film and a producer, and I was coloring the movie, so I had a reason to come here, and then I ended up here, I guess 3.5, 4 years ago. I don't even know where all the time goes, but yeah.
Cool. And I know a little bit about your group, We Make Movies, but explain to our audience what started it and what do you guys do?
Basically, what started it was was actually this experience making this film, which was, we made this film, How I Got Lost, right on the tail end where kind of the distribution market for features was kind of drying up, and no one had quite realized it yet. And so we made this film. I think it's a good film. We ended up getting some distribution for it and all this other stuff. But there were a lot of lessons learned along the way about the process. And what really bothered me about it is how desperate you become as an independent filmmaker when you finish your movie and you don't have a lot of money left over to go and do the distribution yourself and some of these other things.
Sell the movies, get the movie out to the public.
It's the biggest aspect that filmmakers just aren't aware of, is what you do once your movie's done.
Okay.
So we had a lot of really hard lessons once we put all of our money into the film, and we were like, it's the I think a lot of filmmakers do this where they have they're like, we're just going to make the film and then everything's going to be cool
it's
after that.
It's all going to fall in place.
It's all going to work out,
yeah.
and it does not. It's a cold, hard reality, and then it takes every last bit of energy to get a distribution deal you're not happy with, and that's an achievement somehow.
You make that movie so you want people to see it, so you want it distributed.
So at the end of the day, you get it in it's available pretty much everywhere. You can get it. How I Got Lost. If anyone wants to check it out, have some fun. But
what's it called again?
How I Got Lost.
Okay, cool.
And it was our first feature, and you have big dreams and big ideals, and then there's some harsh realities of the marketplace that you get into, and that was a big learning experience on our part. So, for me, I was like, there has to be a better way than this to go and make your own content, because this is what we wanted to do, is make our own content. And
you're a filmmaker. You want to make a movie.
And we want to make movies, and so we're sitting there in the middle of this distribution process, and I started reading a lot of alternative distribution stuff. For anyone out there, a great book you should read is Think Outside the Box Office.
Think Outside the Box Office, okay.
By John Reese. It's an amazing book, and there's a couple other things you should check out, which is Internet Marketing for Filmmakers and The Secrets to Distribution from Jerome Kershaw. And once you get through all those, you get a real good idea of how awful the distribution business is, and maybe some ways that you can go about trying to do your own thing. And that's really, at the end of the day, what I want to be able to do. So, we're in the middle of this process, in this distribution process, and we're sitting there and it's like, how do we get people to give a shit? Like how do you get people, because you don't want to be one of those filmmakers who's, check out my film,
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
me. And I think, sort of what hit us is, we were out of money at that point. I was flat broke, put everything we had into this film, and the only thing we could kind of think of was myself, Joe Leonard, and Tara Samuel, who are the other two founders. We just started meeting over at Tara's place, and started brainstorming ways to kind of build an audience. We didn't, and even from there, all we came up with was, well, let's just get a bunch of people with scripts and start reading them.
So the three of you started We Make Movies.
Yes, we started We Make Movies.
We Make Movies, elaborate. What do you do, and what's the ultimate goal?
Well, what do we do? Basically, we run a weekly night. We have 3 different nights, 2 of which are our main night, which is a writers and actors workshop. And when I say workshop, I don't mean the traditional workshop where we, it's free and open to the public. We're not looking to scalp actors.
So this group is free.
Yes. it is.
Anyone interested in being a filmmaker, actor, writer, editor, director can come to
Yeah.
this meeting, this group.
Yeah, you can come. It's on a Wednesday. I mean, we have a suggested donation. It's not really enforced. Ideally, you'll throw in anywhere from $2 to $5, and
So how cool. There's no kind of membership process. You're not screening who you're taking in there. Anyone who wants to be part of the independent filmmaking community, invited, come
Yeah.
show up, have a good time.
No, it's not. It's focused on because the other thing I think that's really lacking in Los Angeles is, it's all so industry and perception based and all this
Yeah.
stuff, and like that doesn't interest me. It really doesn't. Like I'm interested in making stuff and meeting some interesting people, and the fact that we're not really heavily Hollywood based. Like I don't want our group making a bunch of paint by numbers blockbusters. We want to make some interesting stuff. So, it's open to the public, where I feel like we hear from the same voices in this industry way too often. So the whole idea is, if we're going to start segregating like who comes and all this stuff, and no, it's not anything I'm interested in. I want, sure, not everything's going to be amazing, but actually you'd be amazed some of the interesting stuff you hear coming through this group, because there's no filter on it,
Yeah.
So, and we've got some extremely talented people in there, and we're making a lot of stuff, and it's kind of taken on a life of its own.
So you guys meet once
every
a week?
Wednesday.
Every Wednesday you guys meet.
Over at the Whitefire Theater in Sherman Oaks. We were in Hollywood, now we're in the Valley, and but it's right up in Sherman Oaks, on Ventura, like about a mile west of Laurel Canyon.
Yeah, if you guys didn't get that, we'll put it up at the end
Yeah.
of this segment on where it is and the address. So now people in there get together with other people in the group. It's just a melting pot of filmmakers. So people want to be in the business.
Yeah, I mean, the whole idea was we get a bunch of people together and see what happens, and that was the initial thing. We started off in a little black box theater over in Hollywood, the Lex over in Hollywood.
Sure.
30 people, and we didn't think anyone would show up.
How big is your group now, roughly, on a Wednesday? How many people?
We've got, between anywhere from 70 to 100 people showing up every week, just coming in to hang out. And, the workshop, our main night is the something to do on a Wednesday till you get really famous night workshop. And
So
that's,
these are all people who want to be in the business, so trying to be in different aspects of the business. Let's stay in touch. Let's talk about film. Let's make our own projects. Now you said projects we make.
Mhm.
That's from the group making movies. They're
Yeah.
making independent movies, short films, whatever.
Well, so far, we've funded as a community, 16 projects. There's probably been about 30 short films that have been workshopped and come out of the workshop that have been made.
Really?
And 5 features, a couple of which have gotten distribution. So,
Oh, how cool. Now, funded, where do you get your funding from since it's a free group?
yeah. So we've done 2 Kickstarter campaigns so far.
Okay.
And the first one, we funded 7 films. We had 6 films on the slate, and then a 7th. We raised a little extra money, so we were able to throw some more money towards. We ran a contest for that, which we opened up to the community. People submitted their script, and the audience voted, picked the one they wanted.
And just to clear it up for the audience, when you say 7 movies, these are short films,
Yeah.
not all feature-length movies. Money you raise, what kind of budgets on these movies?
Well, on the first ones, just on the first slate, we only raised like $1,000 a film. We kept it small because
Yeah.
we wanted the films to be short, short and simple, at least to get started. Like, try not to make something elaborate, make something simple that you can make. And we were really kind of amazed at how well they turned out.
3 to 5 minute movies.
Actually, they've all turned out to be about 5 to 7.
5 to 7 minutes.
7 minutes, sometimes
Excellent.
a little
Wow.
bit longer. And that was the first slate. This next slate, we upped it to $2,000 a film. And
Okay. Also raise money on Kickstarter?
yeah.
Wow.
So it's all supported by the community.
Okay.
So we have a large group of people who are kind of interested in the concept because it's community film. All of these films were selected because they submitted their stuff through the workshop, and we tried to cherry pick some of the best stuff for the slate. 2, they were finalists in the previous contest that we just kind of rolled over.
So, who on the workshop is involved in picking these projects? Who decides who gets the money to make their project?
Well, it depends on what stage of the process is,
Okay.
and some of that we're still figuring out. But on the initial slate, it was just a bunch of stuff that we liked from the workshops that had been coming through, and we kind of put those on a slate.
So it's you and the other 2 founders when you say
Well,
we?
no, we've got a full board at this point.
Oh,
There's
okay,
like
okay.
10 or 12 people that are coming.
That are on the board of We Make Movies.
Yeah, that
Okay.
that are we make a lot of group decisions. We figure out the direction of where things go, and everyone's got their different role. Someone's doing publicity, social media, web, event coordination. We got a whole bunch of business development.
Okay, so there's some structure to it. It's not just a free-for-all of people just getting together on a Wednesday.
I mean, it's actually surprisingly structured considering our lack of resources. But but what we really try and do is not have a lot of rules. So
Sure.
it's structured. We have processes, I guess, and we have values, but we don't have. We certainly don't tell people what to make. We don't. Any script is content wise, we prefer them formatted properly and some of these other things. But
Sure.
like anything, we don't tell people what to write. We don't do any of that stuff. If the audience likes it, it gets a good response, then it'll probably end up getting made.
Now, so you get a few of these movies made by the people in the group. Great. Where do you show them? How do people get to view them? How do you get exposure for these films?
Initially for us, it's we do screenings. So, the whole idea is we shoot these shorts, and then and this is something that we're continually expanding and getting better at this. But the idea with the first slate of films was we're gonna make a bunch of really kind of shorter, inexpensive stuff, and then we'll screen it for the community when it's done and put it up at. We did it at the Downtown Independent, so we screened them all over at the Downtown Independent and basically had a sellout crowd from the community, so people were excited to see it. So then we did the first screening wasn't even based on the contest. We sold that one out, and then we did 2 screenings from the actual contest movies with some other work from people who made stuff outside of the contest and the fundraiser. And now we're going to be doing it again on the next slate of films that are kind of in production and are going to be coming out. My guess would be the next one we're going to do is February, and then we give people, if they want to do the festival circuit, we give them time to do what they want to do, and then when it's done, we put it up on our YouTube channel and just get them out there. Right now, we're less focused on making money. I think we're still in the process of like making people
aware of what you guys are doing,
and just actually making content that we like. So we're still figuring out, we have a lot of ideas about what we're going to do, and it's continually improving. And we have our own podcast, and we have all kinds of stuff that we're actually doing.
You do a podcast?
Yeah, that's basically we have four Wednesdays, and two of which are our regular writers workshop. We do an improv night for actors, and we do this podcast night called How We Make Movies, which is hosted by Amanda Lippert, and it's like inside the actor's studio, but for filmmaking professionals. So you can hear some of the podcasts up now, but we're going to be rolling the videos out, I think, in the next couple weeks.
And what kind of people does she interview on the podcast or get to talk to on the podcast?
It's very filmmaker centric, so we'll have filmmakers, we'll have distribution people. It's really, the idea is people who work in the business, and they're professionals, a lot of producers, basically we try and cover first how people, got to be successful, but then on top of that, it's about giving people some ideas of how to make their own productions better. So, it's basically, it's just inside the actor studio. We don't have any rules about it. We have some fun up there, and it's kind of a cool night, and that one's free, for people to come out to also. So
you like this whole community thing? Everything's free. Come on out here. Let's all get together. Let's exchange ideas. With equipment going the way it is, and digital equipment getting smaller and more affordable, do you see the movie business going this direction? Do you see more of this? People making their own projects, doing their own independent films? Where do you see this going?
I think you're crazy if you're not doing it. If you're waiting to have some studio ruin your work, I think you're in the wrong business. I think you don't, if you focus on building a community of people who actually want to see your stuff, then you already have what the studio wants anyway. And if you're interested in getting bigger budgets and some of that, you have to build an audience first for your content. You have to actually show that people actually want to see your stuff. I think that's the hardest lesson for filmmakers to realize is no one cares. They don't care about you. You're not special,
In the traditional Hollywood filmmaking.
There's 8 million of you running around making your independent feature, and if you're all about you all of the time, how can you expect anyone to care? If you don't care about anyone else's stuff, how can you possibly expect people to care about your stuff? And that's, I think, the hardest thing for people to realize is everyone thinks they're the most talented, they're, the next Quentin Tarantino or whatever they think they are. And the reality is, even if you are, how are people going to know about you if you're A, not practicing your craft, and B, not interested in, always waiting for someone else to discover you.
Do it yourself, make your own movies, cast your own people.
Because it doesn't cost much money anywhere. Those barriers have broken down.
Yes, absolutely. I remember back in my day, if you, as a student, film costed a lot of money. It had to be shot on 16mm film. You had to get it processed, and then you got your dailies, and then you ruined it, and then you had to get another set of it, and you had to wait 4 days, and you find the shots out of focus, and you got to it was a mess. Today with the digital equipment, once you've got the equipment, there's no threshold for cost anymore. It's can shoot as much as you want. Editing's become pretty affordable, and I think it's helpful. It brings it down back to the artist and the craft. It's taken a lot of the tech money and technology out of it. The expertise. It's been brought down to the artist, which is what you guys are doing.
Well, for me, it's what actually do the studios offer at this point? They're certainly not going to share the money with you. So what is it they're bringing to the table? They have these elaborate, like movie theater networks and some of these distribution chains that are all dying up. But the fact is, if you know what you're doing, you can get your stuff on those things anyway and get a much better percentage of the money. So, unless it's a vanity thing to have your movie open up in 4,000 screens where, you're not going to see a cent of it anyway, what actually do they bring to the table? And that's like what I want to know. No one can actually explain that one to me, is what actually are they doing for the filmmaker outside of telling you what you can and can't make? Because every distribution platform that you have is available to you if you know how to do what you're doing, and you can build a large enough base where it's attractive for them to have your work there.
And in order to build a large enough base, you got to make good movies.
Yeah, I mean, there's that people want to watch. And if you can't do that, then how can you expect anyone to hand it to you anyway? So it's the same thing. It's like, if you can make the ability to make something good, is a democratic process at this point. You do not need a lot of money, but the problem a lot of people have is now they make something good, but no one is there to see it.
Yeah, but now we have channels to people view and distribute this stuff.
It's liberating, and it's also very frustrating because it's really easy for your movie to get lost in the clutter. So what you have to really be smart about is, well, I'm going to make these movies, but who's going to see it? And how am I going to get it out there? And our idea, at least, is you build a community around the work. All of our stuff is like, we try and cast from within the community. We try and do our own thing. We don't have a ton of money and resources, but you'd be surprised at the level of quality you can achieve, without that much money. And, it's kind of you'd be amazed at the people that you can meet, just by going out and doing stuff.
Yeah.
And, it's actually been good for me professionally too, because I get all kinds of referrals and work out of it. So, it's fun, when there's no rules and no one's telling you what you got to do. And, sometimes you can be a lot more creative with a limited budget.
Sure. When it's not somebody else's money, you can do what you want with it.
Yeah. I mean, and that's why we all got into this business, or at least that's why I did. That's why I got into this business, was to make the stuff I wanted to make. I think
everybody getting in, and then it may change after a while. But if you still stay true to that and you want to make your own projects, just to clear up when Sam says community, he's talking about the group of people who come to We Make Movies. That's your community of people. You take the writers' scripts from there. They'll cast the movie from the actors who come. And the nice thing is there is no fee. Just show up. We'll put the address up at the end of where they meet on Wednesdays. You have a website. People can check it out on there. Where do you see this group going? In closing up over here, I think it's very interesting. It's a great concept, and I'm glad somebody's doing it and having fun doing it. But where do you see this going? If, let's say, you suddenly landed up with 1,000 people coming to your Wednesday meetings, I mean, at what point do you go, I don't want to become like a studio, everything we're fighting against?
Well, I think the difference with us is that our work is going to be community supported. The biggest problem, I think, with the studios is they're fundamentally out of touch with their audience. Our audience is our studio executive.
Yeah.
We got rid of the filter of people saying, like, if it can get past our audience is the filter. If it can get past our audience and get a good reception, that's good enough for us to greenlight something. So all we want to do is be kind of a facilitator for getting new and interesting work that our audience wants to see on the screen. That's really the only, the second I have to be making decisions about, like, I have to manage people and do it, I'm out. I'm not doing it. Like, it's not, the second it stops being fun for me, I have no interest in it.
So let the group decide, this is a good project, we like this, we don't like this.
These next couple of weeks, we have a contest. We're, gonna be greenlighting 3 more films, and the community's gonna vote for it. And they're gonna select the ones they wanna see, and those filmmakers are gonna get the money, and the filmmakers need to make a pitch. They're gonna do all their casting and all this stuff, but
they do all this on that Wednesday meeting when you.
Yeah, that's all happens. Like I mean, we're not doing our regular meeting. We have the specific contest thing that we've been gearing up for.
Okay.
But this is really what I think is how it needs to be for us, because the second you start dictating content and what should and shouldn't be made, then you just become like everyone else.
Yeah.
But if you can create a place where literally it's a meritocracy, and and you know, the people who the best work, if you can figure out a way to get the best work made and make it easier for filmmakers to do that, then what else is there? Regardless of what kind of content you want to make, I think you need to change the way you think about making the content, because yeah, it's really important to make the content, but who's going to see it? And how are you going to
show it to them?
To show it to them, you know, whether it's a webisode, whether it's a short film, like, you can't go to a festival anymore, and festivals are worthless. You know,
okay.
They're worthless. They do nothing for, even Sundance. You know,
it's good for the ego if you won something.
It's really good for the ego, and it's an award that no one cares about. You know, like, you can stockpile awards at film festivals around the country. It's not going to make a lick of difference for your distribution deal. And the worst part of it is, you've already, all these people who paid the festival to come see your movie,
I've seen your movie.
They've not only seen your movie, but how much money did you get from that? How much money did you get for working your ass off, going across the country, getting people to come and see your film? Do you get a cut from the festival? No. So, like, what are film festivals doing for you? Like, think about that. Think about where the money's gonna come from, and how you're gonna support yourself making your own content, because it's certainly not easy. I support myself because I take other jobs. I'm an editor and a colorist on the side, and a lot of what I do feeds that. And, like, I get referrals. I'm good at what I do, and I can finish a film for a lot less money than other people can do it for. And ideally, you know, We Make Movies will be something where we can really get money for the filmmakers and the films themselves, and have that be a platform for people to get their stuff done. But if you're somebody out there and you really want to make your own content, what you really need to figure out who's going to see it, how much it's going to cost, and how much you can expect to return. It's business.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's still a business.
What I always tell people is, don't expect anything. Like, I don't expect anything. So, and if you come in with that and you figure out a way to make it work for you, like, that's what you have to do. You have to it's on you, you know, period. I will not apologize for that. I would not promise you anything. If you come down and expect to get cast or do all this other stuff, you know, you probably will, but don't expect a big role right off the part. You're not special.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Like, everyone comes in and it's what you do with it. It's what you make of it, you know, and we try and make it fair. But, like, and the people who do more and make it work for them, it works out better for them. You know, and I feel like that's the way it should be.
In closing, if you had to give advice, most of our audience is actors and filmmakers, and mainly actors. If you had to give advice, your knowledge of the business and where it's going, what advice would you give?
I'd simply say, don't wait. You know, like, don't wait for someone to hand you something. You want to do something, go do it. Kind of swallow your ego and your pride a little bit, and just start. Even if it's small, even if you've got to be performing in front of no one, you should go do it. Like, focus on your craft and have a day job. And, like,
have a day job.
well, you got to pay the bills. It's really not fun if you got. I did the ramen noodle days for a while. Like, it's not fun,
yeah.
You know. So, but at the end of the day, just don't be worried about the money. Don't be worried about the fame or the goals or any of that stuff, because you're probably not going to get it anyway. So just forget that, and do it either because you love it. Actually, only do it because you love it, or get out, because it's not a fun business. So, unless you love it. If you love it, it can be fun. But but you can only love it if you're actually doing it for the reasons that you set out to do it. And if you're always waiting for someone else to do it for you, it won't probably ever happen. You have a much lower chance of succeeding if you expect someone to hand it to you.
Cool, man. I want to thank you for coming in.
Hey, thank you for
Great
having me.
talking to you, and we'll put up the information to your group, and hopefully you get more people coming in, joining the community, and making independent movies.
Yeah, come on out, guys. It's fun. It's a good night. You know, if you need
I'll
something to do.
I'll come join you one Wednesday
You
evening.
bet. I'm waiting for you to show up.
Yeah.
It's about our time. Come on out.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, man. Thanks for coming in.